You want the fans off?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the media. On behalf of the Secretary General and the party leader, I want to thank you profoundly for the very, very prompt notice that we issued, and we are very gratified. The United Democratic Party is very, very gratified with the way the media of the Gambia has been treating our business. No matter how short the notice is, we see you in your large numbers to come and hear what the party leader and what the United Democratic Party wish to share with the public. I want to make you take note of the fact that if we were another party, we probably would resort to self-help on all these issues. But our commitment to the rule of law and the assurance that everything we are doing is subject to the law, and the assurance that we are committed to completely peaceful means. That is, whenever an issue arises that is of national concern and is relevant to national development, the party leader will be leading from the front to talk to the media and to talk to you, to talk to the Gambian people through you. So I'm very grateful on behalf of our party, on behalf of the party leader, that you have honored this invitation so promptly. I call and I send the notice less than 2 hours. You can see your fraternity has come in. I thought it's important that we start the introduction that way. With us here is the former finance minister and the national treasurer of the United Democratic Party, Mr. Honorable Amadou Sane. On the left-hand side of the table is the executive committee member and women councillor of KMC, my sister, Miss Marong, Bine Marong, Badibunka sister of mine, and the deputy senior administrative secretary of the United Democratic Party, Honorable Olidiba Wada, myself, Almami Fanding Tal, the party spokesman, and our campaign manager, Karafa Sonko, and executive committee member Ajabinta are here for this very short press briefing, I can assure you, unless you want to ask many questions. Thank you very much for coming. Your Excellency, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tal, and once again, let me thank you, members of the press, for your quick and swift response to attend this briefing. Thank you very much for indulging us and for accommodating us at a very short notice. I want to start by congratulating all the aspiring candidates who have submitted their nomination papers to the various regional IEC offices for the purpose of contesting the 9th April parliamentary elections. I want to congratulate all of them for so far, although it has not been announced whether nominations have been accepted, or at least for receipt of their documents, awaiting scrutiny and final approval by the IEC. Because you all know the purpose of this press briefing. It is as a result of the rejection by the Brikama Administrative Area Regional IEC Office, the returning officer, who rejected the nomination papers, or the nomination rather, of Mr. Sabali. We were keenly following the proceedings on Terifatu, and in fact, during the proceedings, we had the chairman, or the returning officer, tell Mr. Sabali that, well, his itinerary would have to be confirmed if he's moving from Kubariko to another, what route they will take. So for us, that means that, certainly you cannot talk about confirming the route that any particular candidate will be taking if there is no hope of that candidate's nomination being accepted. So I went to the extent to say whether type of meetings we'll have, whether they are rallies, whether they are just ordinary meetings, or whether they are caravan. All these things should be indicated in the form that was there. However, at the end of their interaction, he says, I reject your nomination, I do not accept your nomination because the Commission of Inquiry has banned you from contesting under Section 91E of the Constitution. The constitutional issue arose immediately when he looked at the documents. For him, there is a constitutional issue. And that constitutional issue could not be determined, or should not be determined, by the returning officer. That should be determined by the Supreme Court, because if an issue of the interpretation or of the Constitution arises, the proper person, authority to do so, is the Supreme Court, is not the returning officer, whom, with all due respect to him, I know is not even a barrister to really interpret the Constitution to determine an important issue as the right of the people of Busumbala to elect their representative to the National Assembly. However, gentlemen of the press, you are all aware that in 2017, by legal notice number 15, a commission of inquiry was established to investigate a whole lot of things concerning former President Yahya Jammeh and his close associates. That commission is commonly known, everybody calls it as the Janneh Commission. He was the chair, a very, very erudite lawyer, a very accomplished lawyer, a lawyer who knows the ins and outs of the Constitution and other laws of the Gambia. And certainly, when he presides over any commission of inquiry, one would always find that whatever that commission comes out with would certainly be one that would not be susceptible to different interpretations. No, that will not allow. Because that commission, one of the terms of its reference is, and I quote, to present its findings to the government, making such recommendations as it deems fit in relation to any person or matter, and anybody, and embodying in its report a full statement of the reasons, leading to those findings, a full statement of the reasons. Now, we know that the Commission has really submitted its report. And insofar as it relates to Mr. Mahmoud Sabali, Volume 1 and 2 of the Commission's report, page 207, deals with former Secretary Generals, 𝐔𝐃𝐏 𝐏𝐿 and Mahmoud Sabali. And it says, I'm quoting the Commission's report, former Secretary Generals, Messrs. 𝐔𝐃𝐏 and Mahmoud Sabali also facilitated the process for ex-President Jammeh to withdraw sums of money, particularly from the numerous accounts mentioned above, such as tax recovery account at GTB, Kanila International Festival tribute for Michael Jackson, International Gateway account at CBG, and they should be sanctioned. They should be sanctioned. That is what the Commission says. And then it goes on to say, tax revenue account, ex-President Jammeh and 𝐔𝐃𝐏 are jointly liable for $15,536,609 cash withdrawal and $946,834.92 for payments deemed to be ineligible. Ex-President Jammeh and Mahmoud Sabali are jointly liable for $4,845,278 cash withdrawal and $19,311,683 for payments deemed to be ineligible. There were also sums withdrawn directly by the respective persons. Mr. Mahmoud Sabali withdrew $100,000 from the National Youth Development Fund account on 13 February 2014 and $1 million from the International Gateway account, and money should be refunded by him. Money should be refunded by him. Then it goes on to say they should not serve in any public office again or be appointed as directors for any state-owned SOES for 10 years. Now, gentlemen, press, these are the findings of the Commission, that there is liability for some of these amounts. And all we know is when a fund is liable for anything, it's a debt that is owed. And that is why I say that should refund it. So it's a debt. It's not monies that have been found to have been misappropriated. There's nothing criminal in that. Now, this man, I'm sure maybe he didn't even have this report, just says that the Commission has ordered that you be banned. But why should anybody be banned by the Constitution under Section 90? Section 91E of the Constitution sets out one of the disqualifications from membership of the National Assembly. That provision of the Constitution states, and I quote, "No person is qualified for election as a member of the National Assembly if he or she has been found by the report of a commission or committee of inquiry, the findings of the proceedings of which have been held and published in accordance with the relevant law, to be," now I want you gentlemen to listen carefully, "to be incompetent to hold public office by reason of, 1, having acquired assets unlawfully." That's one reason why should not that the Commission make such a recommendation, then you are disqualified by reason of acquired assets unlawfully, or defrauded the state, or misused or abused his or her office, or unlawfully acted in a manner prejudicial to the interests of the state, and the findings have not been set aside on appeal or on judicial review. Now, gentlemen of the press, it is clear from the findings of the commission that Mr. Sabali was only found to be liable in civil debt. There is no finding of the commission, no recommendation by the commission that he should be banned from holding office because he has abused his office, or he has misused his office, or he has defrauded the state, or he has acquired assets unlawfully. There is no such thing mentioned by the commission. For this gentleman just to sit down there with a wave of his hand and say, no, you are disqualified, not even knowing what the content of the report of the commission is, not even adverting his mind to the Constitution and say what? These things, do they fall within Section 91E? Do they fall within it? And we strongly believe that it does not. But again, this probably a grand design to have Mr. Sabali candidature defeated. Now, the government's white paper on this also does not talk of Mr. Sabali having acquired assets unlawfully, or having defrauded the state, or having acted in a manner inimical to the state, or having abused his office or misused his office. Never. The government white paper also doesn't say so. Now, the white paper states this. It's very short on most. It said, Mr. Mamadou Sabali started at the central bank as, how do I stop this? How do I stop? Mr. Mamadou Sabali started at the central bank as an economist from 1999 to 2009. He was director of budget at the Ministry of Finance from 2010 to 2013. He was appointed as acting Secretary General in June 2013, and then subsequently confirmed as Secretary General and Minister for Presidential Affairs in the same year. His service was terminated in June 2014. The Commission found inter alia that during his tenure as Secretary General, Mr. Mamadou Sabali was signatory to various public accounts and was involved in the withdrawal of large sums of public funds, some of which were not accounted for on the instructions of former President Jammeh. The Commission found that Mr. Mamadou Sabali and former President Jammeh are jointly and severally liable for the said amounts of money misappropriated by former President Jammeh. The government notes that Mr. Sabali's many involvements in the financial transactions of former President Jammeh, which was not part of his official duties, especially as Secretary General, demonstrates the enthusiasm with which he facilitated these transactions. His conduct fell far short of the standard of professional conduct expected of the head of civil service at the time. Consequently, the Commission accepts the recommendations that Mr. Mamadou Sabali should not serve in any public office again or be appointed as director of any state-owned enterprise for at least 10 years. Come on. Mr. Sabali is hereby banned from holding public office for the remainder of his life. The monies shall be recovered from the assets of former President Jammeh. So all this shows that Mr. Sabali did not acquire any monies unlawfully. It shows that Mr. Sabali did not defraud the state. It shows that Mr. Sabali did not abuse his office. So that everything was at the instance of the president, of former President Jammeh. Now, how could it be that from me owing money, civil debts, even if the government, why should that stop me from holding, contesting elections? Why should Section 91E be a bar because I owe money? And in fact, government says that, no, Jammeh should pay these monies. And it was justified because Mr. Sabali never misappropriated funds, he never defrauded the state, He never abused his office. He never did anything inimical to the interests of the state. But in any case, if the commission were to base their banning recommendation on any of these things in section 91E, it would say so very clearly in no uncertain terms. Because I know the chairman of that commission, as I had stated earlier, a very learned lawyer, in fact the most senior lawyer, he is the doyen of the bar. At the time he sat as chairman, and he was assisted by one of the greatest legal minds of this country. This is Ami Bensouda. If these things were there, misappropriation, defrauding, unlawful acquisition of funds, they would have so stated in their report. And they would say that Norbert Sabali should be banned because of this, because of that, because of that. But no. So, gentlemen of the press, you can see that this officer, returning officer, first usurped the functions of the Supreme Court to reject Mr. Sabali's nominations. Second, the reasons why Mr. Sabali could be disqualified from contesting elections are not contained in the report of the commission. And this, in fact, confirmed by the white paper, which says that all the monies that Mr. Sabali was alleged to have should be refunded from the assets, should be recovered from the assets of the former president. Why ban him? Why ban him? We want to put out this to the world and to say that, again, IEC is at it again. IEC is at it again to help the NPP win unmeritorious electoral victories. They are at it again. And there could be no clear indication of that than what this returning officer has done. He has no authority. He should have accepted the nomination and let anybody object to the nomination on the grounds. But he cannot suo motu. He cannot suo motu really reject that when he doesn't even acquaint himself with the white paper, the report, as well as the Constitution. For all I know, unlawful acquisition of assets is criminal. For all I know, defrauding the state is criminal. For all I know, misappropriating a fund is criminal. And then, of course, for all I know, libel. For all I know, that libel is one indicating indebtedness. And that if you are liable for money, it means that you owe the money. And the Constitution does not have that as a disqualification. Being indebted is not a disqualification. I hope that the institutions of state, particularly the IEC, at this crucial moment of the life of this country, should be very careful how they handle these thorny political issues, how they handle these thorny political issues which are governed by laws. And proper thing for him to have done was the provisional acceptance and consult the Attorney General on this, or their own leader or their own lawyers. But he says Mr. Sabali has 48 hours. Will not only appeal within that 48 hours, but will also challenge the decision in the High Court, as others have done previously, as CA did with the nomination of Mr. Cisse, as my party also did with his nomination. We'll do that, and we'll show that Mr. severely contest these elections. That's what we're going to do. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, I have concern. See, virtually all the access routes to my house, you have paramilitary stationed in them. Even at the back, you have paramilitary station there. This is an act of provocation. We are law-abiding citizens of this country. I want to appeal to the Inspector General of Police to please withdraw your men. This house, this office, crowds will come here. This is a political season. And nobody is going to stop a UDP crowd coming here. And whatever we do, we are going to do it within the confines of the law. Please, let us help each other to keep the peace and tranquility of this country. That is in our interest, all of us. And do not believe that because you have men whom you have supplied with tear gas, that they can really cow the entire nation. No, they cannot. But that should not happen. That situation should never arise. Leave us. We are law-abiding citizens. We have always, for the past 27 years, since the founding of the UDP, we have always been doing things in accordance with the law. We have not done anything to be in contravention of the law in this country, and will continue to do so. But we must also not be provoked. You cannot bring your men, station them to access roads, and then you have my supporters coming here. This is the political season, coming here for various reasons, and trying to intimidate them or trying to stop them from coming. That is not acceptable. Please, ask your men to withdraw your men. And I'm appealing to all those people who preach peace for this country, who promote stability in this country, to please join me and ask the Inspector General of Police to really use his men on better circumstances than this one. We will never do anything that goes around against the law, but we will also not be stopped from embarking legitimately on the exercise of our legitimate political rights. Human Rights Commission, please, you heard me. You have invited us and the IEC and others to a meeting on the 15th to discuss human rights issues. And this is one of the fundamental human rights issues for political parties to carry on with their political activities unhindered, unimpeded. It's a fundamental human right. And we want you to join us to ask the Inspector General of Police, please, not to provoke us. We've seen the very ugly scene in videos of how a gentleman was being brutalized, at least about 5 PIU officers maltreating him, torturing him. You could have, easily arrest him and put him in handcuffs. You don't need to brutalize him. And we've seen that on videos. And this sort of situation cannot continue to happen. It's just that our people acted with good sense, because there were a lot of people around who could have descended on those 5 or 6 police officers and handled them. But our people, they acted with sense of responsibility, that if the police behave irresponsibly, they as citizens of this country will not behave irresponsibly. Gentlemen of the press, this is all I have to tell you. As the events unfold, we will keep you engaged, we will keep you informed. One thing I know is that Mr. Sabar's rejection is wrong. The person who took upon himself to interpret the law is wrong. He has no authority to do so. I thank you all.
Thank you very much, Secretary General, Party Leader. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, it's very late in the day. We will be happy to entertain a few questions on this matter specifically. The protocol is that you tell us who you represent, and you can ask your question in any language you prefer. Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Good evening. This is 𝐔𝐃𝐏 𝐏𝐑𝐄𝐒 for Voice newspaper. Honorable, I would like to know the fact that the courts, as you mentioned, that they give him 48 hours, to organize himself. Whether that is going on or not, UDP will take the issue to the court. Do you still have confidence in the court after what you and your party have gone through from the presidential election? And also, are you still comfortable with the current registrar that government electorates are going to contest for in this parliamentary election, knowing or hearing what other political parties are saying as far as this election is concerned? Thank you very much.
As far as courts are concerned, it is the only institution that is available for the resolution of disputes. And that institution is what we must always approach when you have disputes. The fact that we've lost one case in the in the courts does not mean that the courts will continue to be doing things in a way that we do not expect. We expect that justice will be done to us. I mean, we are not going to say that we do not have confidence in the court because we lost one case. No, that's not the attitude of the UDP. The UDP has always believed in the judicial system and respected it, and will continue to do so until, if we find hardcore evidence of corruption, of interference, we'll voice it out. But for when that's not there, no, we'll continue, because it's the only mechanism for resolution of disputes, and you have to take advantage of that. You don't do any other thing other than that. Now, as far as the IEC is concerned, of course, we know that there's a rogue register, but then should we sit back and by our default, allow other political parties to fill the political space that we currently occupy? We cannot do that. The political space we occupy, we must continue to occupy that place, and we must make sure that we fill other political spaces that may be occupied by other political parties. Yeah. So we are not going to turn our back because there's a rogue register. If you do so, we'll just be letting the others take advantage of our absence, which we will not do.
Looks like you have a question or no? Well, the media is very shy today. I can see that.
No, they're
tired. Oh, yes, sir.
I think they're tired.
Yes.
Echidako, Bakar Kamaraba official. Ntabe nyini kala bari la support la jamal mu man nga kan wara suruwa kan fola leti e abenin ko nga même moy comme sabalis stop imanson pour ay nominé o pati yo mu lodula le soto mi alon ko même bambanta kadum kabra ko kan findita nomination dulal to ila dimbayali ko mol fra wala lodulal ta wala mire faye fo han sain ko sifal be continuer le bang fo de mo be pati yo.
For the IEC, we have 48 hours babulu pour appeal and review. But we call the family mirror to ni mo sabal mandi am follow ala. Arwana kata court, comme Mr. Cisse ya Kenyame, Dr. Cisse ya Kenyame, and get expedited hearing. Ko Dr. Cisse expedited hearing so Kenyame. That hanna rakafoko tili tandam manduta campagne to but sabal belola abe ganyela that I have no doubt about. Bidum malo e ko na moli kam ne fajana melo ko mam moy man fe mo de so te fen fon wala den te fen fon wala.
Yes, sir.
Untuk mensuajana 360 plus. Okay. Mensuajana 360 plus. Until I finish 48 hours. Sign it up already candidate. Fourth. So already mojaba as you can already on the report. The same thing last time you can do. Sign not a report. Last time I didn't. What was the next step? Several months.
Imagine last time, both my party and the Ismail Sise, even at the last minute, what I did, I see it. So, Nimo would have a pang packet in the Monica UDP.
Nga jabiro menke nga nga do ja kavoko 48 hours a isi ole di Mr. Sabala kavkas appeal. Kavoko kata court o manke Mr. Sabala tela miro lo kavoko wo zofanan ke la do nga reference ke Dr. Sela Fonkola ala nan ko insita court le expedited hearing subjecto men keta Dr. Sela tato nagda Mr. Sabala fata amala kaf ala nomination belola le no ala nomination belola le ko nakat ala nomination belola le na lo ta ngamen fonko anata tiluru damano ama mo sa ngo campagne mo sa ba gagné le tiluru damano ngo kan campagne ab gagné le so be même fen kan olon kam ni data call ka code push pour ko kana delay si ya riske no awato kono
ila dia mo fana ko reñu fam ko ya jigi do ko ay ci ñu kéré as grand design ko ko kamo sabat tatel sa ñu ngata ko mi la ka ñu ñam c'est le bon ne kala na ko biso na ko ci grand design ko ya wala kam
wala nan ko sita ko ka challenge biso no ka challenge ñen dali lol kam ne lo ko wala no nga sita ka
sa ci ko so na ka ko kala so la fi
ngaluwaje nyame na understand mo nyaato ngole mira well na man ko nyama bito madam
yalo ko ni ngewla to
yalo is appeal le appeal for Supreme Court bari mamira be dunno bedo
Please, okay. Any language you.
My name is Madam from the Party Network. Mr. Dabo, a piece of advice now available. So if by post, somebody is signing it, or if a piece of advice that my government for this part of the area or not.
A piece of advice, Mandela, I bet la Gambian ko bella. Walang kavo kokoko, nimbakela, ngalo luakan, I justify luado. A ball kono, mola nomination niba reject la, I can luala song.
Any additional question? Moro, killing drum mantarajande. Huh? All right. No, I'm out for there. I go Siloka.
No, that's the intelligence report.
Okay, so I made the station name. So I knew how to remember.
More control of what? Act of provocation of what? When it a more problem, not supporters, they will stop them. Can you offend after massive ball? The politics are not connected.
Yeah, because
sorry, hold on. The politics are not connected. Yeah, man. Young Lomo and Terra and Tech operate damage, especially Cabringa accidents. This is where I operate from. Nabiro Tamansia. So, na gatherings nyolu, Janomo. Nimmenko ebo stop la. Ani intesona wala. Nimmenko ebo stop la intesona wala. Ikakataka police alone this lot. Ye vano je UDP vano yafko ebo stop la. No, will not accept that. Don't accept that. Mantra kuke meni luwa mantaja. Janomo na command center think operate from Jane. Mol be bolan ba ko bina mol ko be bolan na burfuti bina mol be bolan na kana janto kana kele fonko ka mol lo dis loka ka ko no al tanyen kala. That is not acceptable. Ntason na wala de no ntason na wala adu wala na ba fuka Human Rights Commission de ay diamu Inspector General of Police ba attented invite on the 15th nataka cha human rights issues la as affecting political parties and IEC So o kacha kumatal bake. So janim bitara fola nyo kafka nyanta kala ne ay commencé kake. It can more interrupt. It's as simple as that. Ma for UDP dimfana eko, you take the law into your hand. Men diate you can more for it. But police all take ko dulal mel kan insaf ko bel slol mel sukika. Yela sukol bondi. Molena. Yela sukol bondi molena. It's as simple as that.
My name is Omar Wai.
Be happy at Libya.
Yes. So, there are so many issues ongoing. You accuse IEC of kind of conniving helping NPP to steal the verdict of the Gambian people during the presidential election. And now there is election coming in April. Do you have confidence in the electoral body?
I had said at that interview that if the IEC membership is constituted by men of conscience, with this revelation they should resign. And you cannot call for the resignation of people in whom you really have confidence. Because they have betrayed. They have betrayed us. We have the tangible evidence. I hear that the chairman was saying that what we are saying is wrong, is not true. But we are putting now in the public gaze. We showed it here. We will not make any statement of such seriousness when we do not have the proof of it. Never. I've always been careful about that. Because we've caught them with their pants down. The only thing they can say is, it's not true. And the communication officer said, this is a distraction. What an awful response. For us to make such a serious statement, he said, that's a distraction. Distracting you from what? So, notwithstanding the fact that IEC, in my view, has misbehaved, it is the institution, as constituted now, that is carrying on with the elections. And as I say, we will not give our back to that elections. And then by default, allow others to occupy the political space that we have been occupying. We will not, by our own default, allow that.
What do you think went wrong with IEC? Because it is the same IEC that announced the results that ended Jammeh's rule. But when you lose election, you're not best pleased. And today also you're saying that they kind of working with Barrow to kind of secure victory for them in the parliamentary election.
No, I've talked about this particular constituency. Talking about it. What went wrong with the IEC? I think you said what went wrong?
Yes.
With the IEC? I think you should ask them. Why was it that? You do things right. That's elections, 2016. And the whole world applauded you. The whole world applauded you. Why? This time, you have not even, in fact, this time you had a better opportunity of really conducting elections that would meet the approval of everybody, all contestants. Because you are doing first registration, because the 2016 registration election was based on voter registration that was also highly, adulterated. Because the man had people from outside the country, from customers, registered. So this provided an opportunity that you will have a register of voters that will meet the approval of everybody. But now you have a register of voters that shows that what is time? This time is about 6 o'clock. It's about 6:30 or what? You're still registering people after close of 7:14. Still registering people. When registration should start at 5 o'clock. That people registered in places after the close of registration in that registration center. But as bad as it is, we should really go ahead, contest the elections so that we'll continue to make our relevance felt on the political on the political arena.
Okay, let me ask you one thing. For UDP, Almandi Sabana Pojuven for because the Amosiara Runkonalota about disqualified. Father man see as a party to discuss this thing. and secondly mo jama fanan kam membo all the lawyers are men so muna na ning usipal katal kila la all the time
na jubele na kaji adun dankene ata nyinna ka foko kaleti jeto na men karanjan tubaw kan ayay tan la ka foko kaleti jeto isaba ko nyilla ya ila san frenyake adjata ndele mbake la yake bar loi to fendi jeta me yasa na men karkar loi to janto unlawful acquiring property assets mo sabale mun naful de so fo bunno fo fenda me yalu kan islamanta commission moy tan jam mo sabale ya mansa kundala kodo tapale ya mim tole commission o ma fa janto commission ya ko men befo ko julo nana ma je kava ko mode dipte yak ni no la ko judole be la judole be ni man sekundati fana man ke tax de na man ke wodi man julu je menta ta moni man sekundati ma save ko men sabal karta fawla kat lola ko sen kam ba fang man sekunda fang la ila white paper e men bonde e ko nyin ko do men be ka fo mo sabal la karola e ko yaya jamme ya do mo tele nyanta jola so nata kaf ko mot sabale le kuke tanu ni tafala ko man sakunda ya anyanta jola ya jamela ni to jola bani adiata nyambe ni nakere o damma nomde wala nan ko nyam fanan yama ka arma baro ma ko no le pour ka gagner ka mot sabale député bunko no wonen jahna batale kanante
All right, ladies and gentlemen of the press, thank you very much for coming again. And as the party leader has said, we will keep you engaged. We will keep updating you on progress along these lines on all issues affecting the party's activities throughout this election period. Thank you very much. Again, we thank you for coming on time and in your numbers. Until we see you again, have a good evening. Assalamu alaikum. Can we pray together for peace in the Gambia? Omar of the Standard said that he wanted to.
Ok, badi wala baraka batu melan ko ni camera ba official jude kan wato bela a press conference o penta banta to mbadan na le dan fo nyato fo wati do ala baraka